Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Motorstorm Pacific Rift, released in 2008 by Sony Computer Entertainment and developed by Evolution Studios. Motorstorm Pacific Rift is the follow-up to Motorstorm, one of the few must-have games that came out when the PlayStation 3 was released. As with the first game, this is an off-road racing game utilising many different vehicles such as ATVs, monster trucks, motorbikes, buggies, rally cars and so on. Each class of vehicle has its own strengths and weaknesses, and selecting the best car for the track you're about to race on is important. Choose the wrong vehicle and you will find it difficult to win the race, as each track has its own dirt type and natural hazards which need to be negotiated. The tracks themselves are much more improved and varied than the original game, which was set out in the desert with little or no variety in the types of circuits you could race on. Indeed, it felt more like a tech demo than an actual game, but it was still great to play and looks stunning. Motorstorm Pacific Rift takes the visuals to a whole new level, with courses structured around new and more varied track types. Races now take place on volcanic mountainsides, beaches, jungles, caves, and an abandoned sugar factory. In addition, the environment now plays a more key role. There is lava which will cause your boost to overheat straight away should you get too near it, and it will also destroy your vehicle on contact. Water also plays a huge part. Not only does it expedite the cooling process of your boost, but in the case of some vehicles plays a key role in buoyancy should you venture into too deep waters. There are also some pretty huge drops to negotiate as well, where one wrong turn results in you flying off a cliff to face your doom. As with the original Motorstorm, some environmental obstacles can be destroyed by your vehicle, but some more stronger constructions result in you crashing, losing precious time. Crashing is something that you need to get used to in Motorstorm Pacific Rift, as it is something that you'll be doing an awful lot of in races. The original game could be tough, but for some reason Evolution Studios decided to take the difficulty up a notch as well. The AI drivers are now better and more aggressive, and with more environmental hazards to contend with, you're going to have your hands full in each race, aside from those where it's just you against the clock. Added to the mix are some annoying clauses for success in each race, none more so than the clause which only allows you so many crashes per race. With this clause it does not matter if you finish first, if you crash more than the clause allows. You will not be awarded with the shiny gold medal you normally get for winning, something that is exceptionally annoying. Sometimes you have no choice to avoid an accident, having been shunted by one of the AI drivers, and it seems unfair that such a punishment system should have been included. In most cases, it is a strict clause as well, limiting you to only 3 or 4 crashes, which in a Motorstorm game is not an awful lot, I can tell you. On the subject of races, there are a total of 16 tracks to race around in total, and as mentioned, they are far more varied than their predecessor. The race types, though, are equally frugal as its forebear. The only race types you have to compete in are the straight-up race against the AI drivers, Eliminator, where the last vehicle is eliminated when the timer runs down, and Speed, where you have to get through checkpoints before the time runs out. Such a limited variety of races can sometimes make Motorstorm Pacific Rift dull to play for a long session, and, as in each of the basic 4 race types, you occasionally have to complete one of the aforementioned race clauses to open one of these up. It sometimes leads you to coming to a dead halt in proceedings, as you are unable to unlock anything else. This seems to be a basic design error, and one which could result in the game ending up gathering dust on the shelves for a prolonged period of time, something that it does not deserve. Frustration is the word with this game. The AI drivers are aggressive, as well as quick, and all too often they will use the new swerve feature to ram you into an obstacle, resulting in a crash. This new swerve feature can be used when not riding a bike or ATV. With the press of one of the shoulder buttons on the joypad, you can veer across the track sideswiping any vehicle alongside you. This can be used to devastating effect on sections of a track where there is a sheer drop on one side. However, it is all too easy to misjudge and plummet to your doom yourself. In contending with the brutal AI wasn't enough, the tracks themselves conspire to work against you. Aside from the featured hazards, the very track can sometimes cause crashes, and not all of them are obvious. In the jungle levels, the dense foliage can mask a rock or tree stump, and the first time you are aware of the existence of them is when your vehicle explodes into tiny pieces. The design of the main festival mode also adds to frustration, with you only being able to race certain vehicles in the races. This effectively removes the option you have of finding the vehicle that best suits you, and on many occasions you can be stuck with a choice of one or two vehicles that are awkward to play with. On the one hand, you can argue it adds to the challenge, but the challenge is something that didn't need any further assistance in being tough. The handling of the vehicles is erratic to say the least. Some are nigh on impossible to manoeuvre with any predictability, the rally cars being one of the worst offenders, and often, because of the force switched in vehicles, you're either struggling to get round corners, or turning in too sharp, losing precious seconds. The terrain also affects the vehicles in extreme ways. Naturally, the larger, heavier vehicles, such as the monster truck and big rigs, are able to plough through the courses with little buffeting from the surface of the track. But the lighter vehicles behave like bucking broncos, and it's not always easy to identify what you just hit that caused your vehicle to flip over 10 times and blow up. So I have painted a pretty bleak picture of the game so far. However, there is something strangely compelling about it. For the most part, the tracks are superbly designed, and the environment can be breathtaking on occasion, apart from a few graphical compromises here and there. Despite the flaws in the handling, each vehicle does behave differently, and with a great deal of perseverance, it is possible to start mastering some of the nuances each one throws at you. It is true to say that success in many races becomes a matter more of luck than judgment, but there is always something that gives you the feeling that you could be able to do it the next time round, despite the fury the game can invoke in you. There is a multiplayer mode and also a split screen one, which is where most of the laughs can be had. Seeing one of your friends make a hash of a jump or corner and sail through the air to their doom has a curious satisfaction to it, perhaps a sense of justification, having been on the receiving end of such annoyances in the single player mode. Evolution Studios have tried really hard to make Motorstorm Pacific Rift bigger, better and tougher than the original game, and on many levels they have succeeded. However, they should have made the game somewhat fairer and tweaked some of the physics, and they would have been onto a real winner. Despite the high level of frustration, this game is still worth checking out if you're into off-road racing. There may be some better alternatives, but they are few and far between, and many lack the imagination in track design and variety that is shown here. It's quite rare that you get a game that builds so much on the game that went on before it, and they have done that. You have to also bear in mind here that this game was released a mere 18 months after the original was released, and some people might argue that it wasn't a particularly long development time for a game of this size. In fact, it's quite a miracle really that there are so many various tracks and vehicles and changes that have been implemented into the game. The physics engine may have been tweaked and may not be to everybody's taste, but that aside, the simple fact that the game looks so different to its original is nothing short of a remarkable achievement from Evolution Studios. It's also worth pointing out too that the little nuances in the game which change it quite dramatically are worth being in there. Yes, sure, the game is a hell of a lot tougher than maybe a lot of people are comfortable with, and on many occasions I really wish there was an option just to lower the difficulty a little bit, just to give me more of a fair chance. But it's an off-road game, and off-road games revel in the unpredictability of handling, and also winding people up to the point of insanity. And Motorstorm Pacific Rift does this in abundance. However, as I've said earlier, there is something strangely compelling about it. Coming back to the game over and over again to play it at a later date is par for the course for me. There can be times where the game will sit on the shelf gathering dust for a huge period of time, but I will always keep coming back to it as the benchmark game with which I hold up all other off-road racing games. Many people may choose to disagree with me on this, but I really do think this is one of the finest examples of the genre, despite all its annoyances. If you have the patience of a saint or have a masochistic tendency, then this is a must-buy for you. For the rest of us, don't say I didn't warn you. The game will make you tear your hair out, but it can be very, very rewarding, and I would highly recommend it. Thanks for watching.